All right. Hey, PV, I'm here with one of my very good friends, Josh Ross, who is no stranger to Pleasant Valley. Josh, how many times have you preached at PV?
Man, 5 or 6 probably if you count Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights and youth events in the past, college events, 6, 7 times.
Yeah, hey, we count those. We definitely count those. So Josh and I have known each other for half a lifetime. I am one of the greatest things about uh, Josh to me is that he is a minister in Memphis, and he's at Sycamore View Church. Very, very similar hearts to Pleasant Valley and the kind of church we want to be for our cities. Josh, one of the things I love about you, besides you're just an all-around great human being, is how much you care about the city that Sycamore View is in. And I've even seen over the um, course of the pandemic, you in the city of Memphis at the different nonprofits that y'all are partnering with, praying over them, cheering them on, celebrating them. I I love the way that you have helped to lead and serve along with other ministers and shepherd and leadership team to help Sycamore View to be the church of Jesus Christ in Memphis. And I'm just proud to know you, man.
Man, hey, I appreciate those words. Thank you so much. And man, I love you. I love PV. I've always had a fantastic time there, man. I have relatives there. I have, of course, you and I have known each other a long time. It's an honor to be your favorite Josh, the favorite Josh in your life. That means a lot.
Hands down.
Uh,
Hands down.
which that was one of the first, that was probably the first time we hung out for a while. Was it
It's
Josh Casey's
Josh's
wedding,
wedding.
man?
That's
Yeah.
right. Dude, I forgot that. That was it. It was at the Paramount in Abilene. Isn't that where they got
Uh,
married?
the
No,
Paramount.
I
No.
get it wasn't. It was on McMurray, but I didn't know Abilene at the time.
Yep.
Yeah. So
It's world.
what a
But
what a
dude, I'm so glad you're there because that's a church I've known for quite a while. And to have you and Josh partnering in ministry, two people I dearly love. Josh and I, of course, grew up in Mesquite together. Your wife was part of that youth group for a little while.
Jeff
And,
Metters is here too.
dude, Jeff's there. That's right, man. And
Yeah. So the Mesquite Church of Christ revival is happening at PV.
well, and Jimmy and Andy Cohn are relatives of mine. We go. We didn't see each other a lot growing up, but we it's just been good to connect with them whenever I'm at PV and share some stories about our family. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I feel like you're a brother from another mother, man. So, hey, one of the reasons I wanted to talk with you last Wednesday night, Mike Cope joined and talked about lament and just naming the losses that are happening in this time. And lament, you are no stranger to. I think a lot of people know your story or read your book, Scarred Faith, about losing Jenny, your sister. But you did something interesting a few years after that. That was for a sermon series, which I love. You and I do that similarly with method preaching. What do you do after lament? And the name of the book you wrote about it and the series that you were doing was Reentry, which is a word we're hearing a lot about now. And I think what you did has a lot to say to us in America and church, well, really globally, as churches think about reentry. Do you mind saying like what you did to prepare for that sermon series and ultimately the book?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll go at it, and if I'm going too long, give me a sign to say, hey, time to bring the story to an end. It
Just
was
pull your lobe.
yeah. So it's actually a sermon series I was doing on the names of Jesus. This was back in I think 2013, and the light of the world, the statements in the Gospel of John. And when it got to the light of the world, I started doing research on. I had just heard. and Jonathan, I don't remember if it was a documentary, a book I was reading, but that there were places above the Arctic Circle. So we're talking about, Canada, Alaska, Russia, Iceland. There aren't a lot of places above the Arctic Circle, but that there can be peak seasons throughout the year for suicide attempts, for depression rates, because most of those places will go in the wintertime, they'll go a couple of months without seeing the sun. So I started reading some research that had come from American Journal of Psychiatry had a piece on this. The New York Times ran a couple of specials on it, and come to find out there is a peak season for it. And it's not during the 65 to 75 days of darkness, which if I was a betting man, I would have said, dude, it's in the dark. That's when you're off, and that's when depression will hit. It's not. It's when the sun returned. So, man, that just got my imagination going crazy, man. Because the phrase that got me was that, and this was in the American Journal of Psychiatry, that the problem is with re-entry into the light. So the sun returns, and you're so excited for change, but the change doesn't happen at the rate you wish it did. So, man, I had a book idea. Now, at the time, I couldn't write this book because you and I were under contract together, right?
Yeah.
So, but my agent who, in Nashville said, man, if you want to write about this reentry idea, you've got to go. And Jonathan, man, you and I both, we grew up in the South. I grew up in Texas my whole life. I had been in Memphis for a few years, but I had never experienced weather below zero. Even times I've been snow skiing, like I do not like the cold. What was funny, January of 2014, I was a guest speaker for NCYM, National Conference of Youth Ministers, in Orlando, Florida. So the first week of January of 2014, I was in Orlando. It was 75 degrees. And a week later, I was in Barrow, Alaska, the northernmost point of Alaska. So the United States of America cannot go further north than where I stood. And it was negative 65 wind chill.
Oh, my goodness.
So within 1 week, I went from 75 degrees to negative 65. But I went up there for about 11 days and just spent time with that community. It's a community of 6,000 people. I took a videographer with me for about half the time, and we just shot testimonies. We would meet anybody who would meet with us. We met with them. I met with the principal, superintendent, teachers, counselors, librarians, football coaches, physicians. I mean, anybody, restaurant owners. And I just wanted to know, like, how do people navigate the darkness? How do people re-enter into the light? I was supposed to be there the first day that people were able to see the sun again. It was going to be the first day. It's circled on people's calendars. It's usually around January 23rd or 24th. But it was overcast that day, and so people didn't get to see the sun, which I thought that would have been really cool after about 65 days. But man, just so many stories that came from these people that I felt like, man, these are stories that can connect with us no matter where we live. Man, in this Little Rock, because the journey of darkness that we all have to travel through. I mean, it could be grief because of death. It could be darkness because of divorce, bankruptcy, and man, I mean, what we're going through right now, just with COVID-19, and something that's impacting all of us. So just how you navigate darkness, how you re-enter and re-engage. And, one of the hardest things for people above the Arctic Circle, and it's true for us too, but there are times when you journey through darkness and you're re-entering into the light, or you're re-engaging into society somehow, that your mind, your heart, your body, your soul, your spirit, they aren't all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like there are times, there are parts of you that's just moving at a faster pace than the other parts. So when that happens, man, it can throw everything off.
Applying this to the COVID-19 thing, how long did you say the sun is gone in Barrow, Alaska? 60 something days?
65 to 75 days.
Which is about where we're at right now, right? Or maybe a little bit further.
Yeah, we're probably,
March.
Probably 80, something like that.
And there's a part of me that would love for this just snap snap our fingers and be back into big assemblies, big crowds, cheering at football games. But this last weekend, Leslie and I are in a life group at PV, and we love these people. We've been doing Zooms with these people. I mean, they're some of our favorite people. And as we were having an outdoor gathering, social distancing and all that stuff, but it was the first time for me to really be around anybody outside of the office or outside of my immediate family and, my brother and sister and mom and dad. And as I was walking up, I had almost like a panic attack, like a social anxiety thing. And I was like 18 and homeschooled the last time I remember having one of those. So I don't know if that's going to be something that is common, but it just felt like there's a muscle that I've trained over the last 10, 11 weeks that I wasn't wanting to train.
Yeah.
Is this kind of what you're talking about with the preparing us for the challenges of reentry?
I think so, man. And, I'm an optimistic person. 7 on the Enneagram, super hopeful, glass half full. But I've tried to equip people here at Sycamore View. I've written a couple pieces over the last few weeks. I think reentry and re-engagement is going to be a lot harder than some people think it is. And part of it's I forget who it is who used this illustration. I used it in front of our church last week, but it's the yo-yo effect, that you want that yo-yo just to come back. And that's what we would love to happen. How things were in January, February, that yo-yo is gone out and we just want it to come right back.
Right.
Dude, it's not going to happen that way.
Yeah.
And you're right, man. Like, it took days and weeks for all of us to train ourselves. Even if Casey and I were in the front yard socializing with people who were in their car 15, 20 feet away, and the mailman or the mail lady came by, we've trained ourselves to get away. Like, you move,
Yeah, right.
And how we've had to train ourselves and train our kids to give space. We're going to have to, these are habits we're going to have to break one day too, as we do begin to re-engage. So, man, if you don't, can I jump into just a couple of the principles from that
that
stuck out to me that I think are so relevant right now? So what kept coming up in Barrow, everybody I talked to, there were a couple of themes that held the healthiest people in that community. Because a lot of those people, man, this is just their rhythm in life. Their rhythm is, they know in the wintertime it's dark. They know in the summertime the sun hardly sets. So people who've been there for a while, they're used to the rhythm. What throws them off is if they go down to Malibu in the wintertime and they see the sun, or the summertime the sun sets. Roots was so important. People who had deep roots, a core convictions, core beliefs, whether that's in Christianity or for some people who may not be Christians, just roots, like, man, they had a foundation that they tried to live from. And rhythm was a word that came up over and over and over again. In the wintertime, I mean, dude, if it's negative 65, it's not like you can hang out with people on a porch.
Right.
You can be outside with exposed skin for like 10 to 12 minutes before frostbite sets in. And so you can't go hang out in parks, or there's one community center in Barrow. There's one grocery store. So you have to have a rhythm that keeps you active, like active in community, keeps your body active somehow. But then in the summertime, you have to have a rhythm that keeps you've got to get rest. I mean, sun's coming through your window, 20 hours a day. So you've got to find a way to get rest, because work ethic takes a major hit in the summertime more than the wintertime, just because rhythm is so off. And dude, I think those apply to us, especially to people in the church. I've said this multiple times, man, and I don't mean to say this in a way that I make people feel guilty for where they are, but the healthiest people, whenever storms of life hit, are people who have roots that are established. If you wait until the storms of life hit to try to establish roots, it's near to impossible. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's tough, man. It's
That
hard.
sounds like Jesus. The
I
wise
know.
person builds their house on the rock. Yeah. I mean, this,
Exactly. Yeah.
and go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, and just rhythms, man. I mean, so and I think you and I, we use these phrases. We just hope people try to live into them somehow. But stuff like, man, the church isn't closed. The church is still open. You know, worship never stopped. Worship still happens. But how people, it's not. I mean, social distance doesn't mean that we can't still engage in community. We just got create. We just have to get creative with how we do it. So the
Mm-hmm.
rhythms we still have in our lives that keep us connected to God, that keep us connected to people, that somehow connect us to service. I mean, I've been challenging Sycamore View almost every week, like find a way to serve this week. You
Mm.
serve in a way that's responsible. You can serve in a way that you're protecting other people, but I mean, service is still happening. Find a way to serve. So just having those rhythms that keep us connected to what God's up to, so that because in the last thing, man, and Barrow, the people who went into cruise control in the wintertime, the people who went into survival mode are people who struggle the most.
Mm.
And there are times, man, where we're in survival mode. Dude, I told the church last week that do you know what the record is for treading water?
No.
Yeah, how many, what do you think? Put hours on it. What do you think the record is in the world for treading water?
Uh, 6 hours?
Dude, it's 85 hours.
What?
I know.
Did
It's
they
a it's
sleep?
some it was some 19-year-old in India who set this record. The record before that was somewhere in the 50s. Just 3.5 days. And I'm assuming the dude had to float a little bit and had people who were having to hand him, water or Gatorade or something, but 85 hours. And
Can
I
you
don't want to
stay
get lost.
awake? Yeah,
Huh?
okay, yeah. I was going down the rabbit hole of how do you stay awake and tread
But,
water or
but
stay
man,
asleep?
there are times for us in life that sometimes we feel like we may be treading water for 85
Hmm.
hours, maybe for 85 days.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get from the character and nature of God that God is asking anybody to tread water for 5 years. There may be seasons we do, but man, like the call of God is not for us to go into survival mode. It's to dream with God, think with God of how do you stay active in
Hmm.
your mind, your heart, your community? How do you stay active? So roots, rhythm, and man, try to resist from going into a perpetual survival mode where you're just trying to keep your head above water.
Yeah. Keep, so that would be anything from binge watching Netflix every day to uh that's really the only option that's coming to mind. But yeah, I can see all of those in the people. Let me just brag on PV a little bit because I know you know Sycamore View. When I say we have the same similar kind of heart, um, I have watched PV people do those things really well in the course of the last 80 whatever days. I mean, engage. We have a lot of people in the medical field, and at first it was very, very scary. Seems like we've got a little bit more of our mind around what it is. But we thought ICUs were going to be overrun, and I watched doctors who were over 65 run into the ER. There was a team of all of our people coming together from a cross section of our church, going to get groceries for our 65-year-olds and serving in joining with other churches, no matter the fellowship, to serve Little Rock with getting food. I mean, stuff like that is going to make it easier when we come back out and the smoke clears from that. Don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. Oh yeah.
Man, I'm grateful for your ministry, Josh. And the book is called Reentry. I never thought it would be as appropriate to be a bestseller as a season as this, because it's literally what we're going through. Can we talk one brief second about reentry when it comes to corporate assembly and just how to give each other grace and stuff?
Yeah, for sure, man.
So have y'all done a survey yet?
We have one going out in the next couple of days.
So the survey that PV has done, and then the other, you and I are on a text chain with other ministers that are talking about all this all the time. All the ones that I have seen, and then it's kind of bearing witness at PV as well, is that it's almost a bell curve of, I will not come back in the next 30 to 90 days to I can't wait to come back. I'd come back right now, and I'd you know, and there is going to be a little bit of disappointment. And I also see a potential for the body of Christ to be divided by things like you're afraid to come back, or you don't care about other people if you want to come back. How are y'all navigating that at Sycamore View? And then what word would you say to, I didn't prepare you for this question, but I know it's something you and I are thinking about all the time. What are you saying to your people who are?
Yeah, man, there are a few things we're saying, and I think that's part of that's key, that whatever it is we're saying, we've got to say it over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
beginning with our leaders, with elders and ministers, one thing I'm just trying to lodge inside of them right now is, not only do you have to prepare yourself to be a dispenser of grace, you've got to be ready to equip other people to extend grace to. Because you're right, man, this could be a very divisive season for a lot of us, because people are going to be moving at different paces. Because some churches are going to move at a faster pace than Pleasant Valley or Sycamore View, and some churches are going to move slower. What I've encouraged Sycamore View is, here's our stance for other churches. We root for churches.
That's right. That's
We
right.
root for churches. If some churches have already chose to meet, some aren't going to be back together until August or September, depending on where you are throughout the world. We root for churches. We want churches to succeed. And, I think most of us, we know that there's the risk of, no matter what policies we either strongly recommend or require within our churches, there are going to be times when those policies are broken, and you're going to have adults who are going to attempt to adult adults.
Such a great, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, none of us like to be mothered by,
Yeah, that's right.
100 people, or fathered by a bunch of people, or adulted by anybody. Because, I mean, you have some people that 6 feet of social distancing isn't good enough. It has to be 15. And you have other people who are like, well, 6 feet could really mean 3. And man, we have just got to be prepared to extend a lot of grace.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I love it, man. I am so glad.
One thing we've told our church is, and I'm sure you have too, but man, hey, when we choose to offer in-person worship services again, whenever you're ready to come back, we'll be here to receive you. Like, our message isn't going to be, the doors are open, get back, come in. There's nothing to be afraid of, get in here. It's going to be, hey, when you're ready, we're going to be here to receive you.
That's right. That's right. Dude, I'm so glad that you live in the Southeast. I know you are a Texan through and through. Fate Haygood, did you see that thing he put on Facebook the other day? I wish Texans or Christians love Jesus as much as Texans love Texas.
Dude, I did not see it, but oh my goodness.
Yes. Oh, but I am glad that we are getting to be partners in ministry just a couple of hours away from each other. And honestly, one of the things that has gotten me through this pandemic and just trying to lead through a crisis is being able to lock arms with other ministers like you. So thanks for taking time out of your day to help minister to PV people tonight. And I can't wait to add to that number how many times you preached at Pleasant Valley.
Hey man, at some point in 2020 or sometime soon, we just need a swap. I'll come over there, you come here.
Let's do it, man. I am down. You just name the Sunday. and
We
I'm
may
there.
even swap the team. You and Casinger come here. Kip and I can come there.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. I
Yeah.
bet because Kip has a lot of Harding connections. I bet he knows a lot of PV people. What
I
a
bet.
great idea. Okay, consider it done. You just name the date. All right, man. Much love to you, Josh.
Hey, man, appreciate it, dude. I love you. Proud of you.